My boyfriend said he preferred me when I was skinnier, so I dumped him. And by the way, trigger warning, there are mentions of eating disorders. So, I, 21 female, have struggled with anorexia since I was in high school. We met when I was in the worst of it 2 years ago. It was so bad, I literally almost passed away. I passed out in a shopping mall because I hadn't eaten in 3 days, so I went into inpatient, and that's when I started to get better. I am now in recovery, which is actually really hard. I don't know how much weight I've gained because stepping on the scale is triggering for me, but if I had to guess, I would say probably 30 pounds. That's great. That's a lot to gain.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, good for you.
Yeah. I'm 5'2", and I know at my lowest point, I was hovering around 86 pounds. By the way, this comes from throwaway account LGBT and throwaway ed girlfriend. And you can submit your own stories to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. Everyone in my life says I'm so much healthier looking now that my hair isn't falling out. And I actually have a butt again, which is really great. But obviously, I still struggle with body image issues. Yesterday, we ordered Uber Eats from a local diner and I ordered a grilled cheese with fries. And my boyfriend offhandedly said, "Are you sure you don't want the salad instead?" Ooh.
Oh, hold on. Let me look around. Who asked?
Am I sure I asked for your opinion?
Oh my God. Who asked you, buddy?
Man. Which obviously triggered me. And he explained by saying, "No, you should eat what you want. I just worry that you're letting yourself go." This upset me so much I didn't end up eating anything at all. This morning, I tried to talk to him about it and asked if he thought that I was getting fat. And he said no, but he has never been into thick girls, and one of the reasons he liked me in the beginning was because of how much I cared about my body. He said he still loves me now and he's glad I'm healthy, but he just worries that he'll lose attraction to me if I keep gaining more weight. I hate this man. This is the worst person that OP could be with right now.
Dang, and you just say, well, you don't have to worry about that anymore, buddy, because I've lost all my attraction for you.
Obviously, I need to dump him, right? It's so out of left field, but I'm also worried that what if he has a point? Maybe I've been so focused on recovery that I've gone a full 180 into unhealthy bad eating habits in the opposite way. There are some relevant comments. Rise with the Stars says, "That sounds manipulative. Of course, I want you to be healthy, but I'm afraid I may not like you anymore if you stay healthy. Imagine staying with him and starting a family with him for him to leave you because you get too thick while pregnant." LP responds, "I never even thought about that, but you're totally right. Ugh, this sucks so much. He's literally been amazing up until these comments. I feel dramatic leaving him over it, but they really triggered me a lot." This Toast is Tasty says, "He's literally been amazing up until these comments." Sure, but that's until he showed you who he really is.
Yeah.
Everyone is perfect until you see their flaws. It's a matter of perception.
And also, it doesn't feel like he could be perfect if you were going through an eating disorder for years and like it feels like maybe he didn't do anything to help you through it. In fact, it sounds like he'd be the guy to encourage it. With what he's saying right now.
OP responds, "You're totally right. It's just hard to process when this was the man who came to visit me in inpatient and was so patient with me and told me how much better and healthier I was looking when I started to get my butt back, and even was so proud when I managed to introduce non-safe foods back into my diet, you know?"
Okay.
He also would always call out his friends when they commented about my weight or made comments about my eating in any way. It feels like it came out of nowhere. If I showed you a compilation video of someone's life where I edit all the good things they've done in there and leave out all the bad, you would think that this person is an amazing person. Okay, that is true, but that's because that's true about everyone. But we do have an edit. I'm going to reach out to my therapist in the morning before trying to talk to him again. But if he reacts in the way I expect him to, I will dump him. It's really hard because he was so supportive after I was inpatient and all throughout, and this is the first time he's ever said anything remotely like this, but I can already feel my self-destructive thoughts spiraling, and I'm even questioning myself again. But there is an update now. All right, how do we think this is going to go, guys?
Sister, if she's getting in the way, if he's getting in the way of you and your mental health,
Out
he's
of there.
gone.
So we do have an update. I know I said I was going to reach out to my therapist, and I did, but she isn't available to make an appointment until next week, and I couldn't handle the thought of having to avoid my boyfriend for a week after what happened, so I ended up talking to him. This happened about 2 hours ago, and I'm writing this right now at my mom's house because she came and picked me up after I told her everything. Basically, our conversation went like this. I told him he had really triggered me with his comments, saying that he liked me when he when I was taking better care of my body, and like most of you pointed out, when I was passing away was the opposite of taking care of my body. And I asked what he meant by that. And my suspicions were right. He said that he noticed I have been eating junk food more often lately, and that when we first met, I was always going to the gym and working out excessively, and now I haven't done very much in terms of exercising. Even though I was doing it to the extreme, he said that he thinks that I should be finding a happy medium between what I used to be and who I am now. I broke the F down. The junk food that I've been eating more is literally one slice of pizza and a burrito. It took me so much to just eat those foods, and hearing that he took notice of that and was judging me for it literally broke me. I felt so triggered by his comments, even though I knew they were coming. He said that I am not fat, but that he didn't sign up to, quote, be with someone who doesn't care about their health. I don't even know where to begin. He saw me pass out in a shopping mall. He saw me struggle to eat a cup of yogurt without having a breakdown. He was there for me when I first took steps to eating again. I didn't have my period for 3 years, and I just got it back a few months ago, and it's still irregular. It's so hard for me to hear this when my doctors and everyone else around is saying that what I'm doing now is taking care of my health. And here is the really shocking part. I don't even want to hear it. He told me that before we started dating, he used to go on a pro-ana website. He would go on those websites and Tumblrs and see them as the ideal body, and that was one of the things he was most attracted to because he sees eating disorders as, quote, the ultimate form of self-discipline.
So this man is a psycho.
So this guy's clearly got his own stuff going on psychologically or whatever. I don't know. There was one comment that said maybe he has his own eating disorder.
Well,
I don't know what you would classify that as, but clearly it's some kind of mental disorder for him to be able to honestly look at that and be like, it's the ultimate form of self-discipline. Like,
oh my gosh.
I don't know. That's like, it's so backwards.
He said that he is glad that I'm not passing away anymore, but he wishes that I could be healthy but still look the way I did when we met. I feel like my whole world is crashing around me. I immediately called my mom and told her everything, and she came to pick me up. I haven't felt this physically disgusted with myself in months. I don't want this to hurt my recovery, but I can't get his words out of my brain. My mom is suggesting that if I can't stop the spiraling, it might be worth it to go to the psych ward or something. But anyway, the main point is you guys were right. He was fetishizing my illness, and I did have to leave him 100%, which I did. It's just so shocking that it happened this way. Thanks so much for all the support I got last night. It means the world. And we do have an update. But oh my goodness, thank goodness she is out of there. But that is terrible that he had to like throw a grenade at her on the way out. Like, come on. I ate 3 meals today for the first time in months, and I don't feel ashamed. Yay! This is 3 days later. I moved back in with my mom, and she knows all about how horrible it was, and I didn't realize how bad he was affecting me, even though I was in recovery while with him. Now I'm able to notice small things that he would do to plant seeds of doubt back into me, and I'm sure over the next few weeks I'll think of more. One of the main things I realize now is how he would purposefully only make food for himself and not share with me. I think now he did this because he knew that with my disorder, it's really hard for me to ask someone essentially permission for food, and that's what it felt like. I would still eat maybe a bowl of cereal or a yogurt, and we would have dinner together most days, but he would eat a lot more than me. And by the way, we have a lot more stories like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast app. Just search OK Storytime. But there is a little bit more to the story, but yeah, man. I'm glad you're noticing those things. It sucks. It'll be a long thing to process, but you're out of there. That's the most important
You're
part.
out ski.
Out ski.
That's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the other side of that. Now you are realizing toxic relationship.
Exactly.
And it's only going to get better from there.
Right. Today I had a bowl of cereal, I had lunch with my mom, tuna sandwich and salad with dressing and croutons, and dinner, salmon with broccoli. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but I feel so proud of myself for how far I've come from nearly passing away 2 years ago to being able to eat 3 meals without feeling too much shame. I'm still effed up from the relationship and have a long road ahead, but it feels so effing good to be free and say, yeah, I did that today. Yeah, you did.
You did that, girl.
Those do seem
You did that
impressive.
today.
With
Whoopsh.
Everything we know about you, that is impressive to eat all of that in one day. Good job, girl. You did it. Those are great meals.
Quote the Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
Impressive.
There you go. There you go.
My fiance's best friend lived with us, and it ruined our relationship.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Yeah. Hi. I'm currently going through a breakup with my fiance, and I need input from strangers. My friends have been validating a lot of my feelings, but I feel like that could be biased. Some context, I'm 26 male, she's 23 female, and we'll call her Kate. We've been together just under 5 years, engaged for almost 2. I proposed on our anniversary. And by the way, this comes from user Infinite Series 9493, and you can submit your own stories on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. This time last year, we moved into a rental property my parents own with her best friend. We'll call her May, female 27. For the 18 months leading up to this, I had worked law enforcement. That job made me fully ACAB and also left me dealing with injuries, close calls, and really heavy things. Even though I knew I should have been talking to a psychologist, I kept neglecting my mental health until I broke down. I got injured again, couldn't stop smoking, and quit the job. I was in denial about my PTSD and kept trying to push past it to get a different job in security. I couldn't do this, and the feeling of failure combined with being terrified of everyone around me made it hard to find motivation for anything. I struggled going to shops for some time. During this time, me and May were always around each other and butting heads. Shortly after we moved in, I asked her not to touch some 3D printed D&D models I had made and painted due to some breaking in transport. She ended up moving all of them while setting up shelves and even unboxed ones I didn't want unboxed. When I told her I had specifically asked her not to touch them, her response was, I needed to unbox stuff and put it on shelves before the party. Well, I needed you not to touch my stuff.
Yeah, I feel like you didn't need to touch my stuff to do that, though.
Could have told me. Could have talked to me. We had a housewarming party coming up. I told her she could have done that without touching them, and she yelled, they wouldn't have been touched if you had done it yourself. When I talked to my fiancé about this, she took May's side.
Oh.
This established a pattern. May would do something that crossed a boundary, and she would yell at me when confronted. I did also cross her boundary sometimes, and I tried to apologize and explain that I didn't understand that had been an issue, and clear communication would help me understand in the future. A few months go by. I am terrified of May. Every time I'm around her, my heart is pounding. I'm looking for weapons. My body is reacting to her as a threat. I unfortunately responded by being angry. I felt like my fiancé wasn't doing anything to make the house feel welcome to me. I begged her to talk to May, and she said she did, but that I needed to apologize first and show that I can change. Eventually, in January, it reached a point where May would clean a small section of our patio where she sat and smoked. That area was where I sat most of the time when she wasn't around. One week, she got angry because I left my stuff in her spot, and another day, I didn't immediately stop smoking and move over for her. I told her it was a communal area and she didn't own that spot. The next day, I came home, and she was building a couch in that area. I told my fiancé that it seemed like a petty attempt to take ownership of the space. My fiancé dismissed that, but also said I wouldn't be able to sit on it due to the weight rating. I asked my fiancé to bring up moving it because at this point, I was too scared to talk to May and was avoiding her. My fiancé refused for a while, then did, and said the couch stayed, and started telling me to suck it up. Those were her actual words. So that's not like your partner. That's not how a partner should be with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your warden.
This led to us arguing and me picking the couch up and moving it to the other side of the table. At this point, May said they were moving out. I said it wasn't going to work with us together in the house. My fiancé and May spent the next 6 months telling me to stop being angry and apologize and that everything was my fault. I had felt so ashamed for this entire year, I didn't tell my friends any of this until this past week. I was constantly sent to the bedroom when May was around. It felt like I wasn't welcome in the house. When I asked when May was moving out, I was told she wasn't. Then she was. This kept happening, and I stayed scared of May. Then my fiancé began screaming at and berating me for not having empathy, for not loving her or caring about her. I yelled too, but I also slowly began to feel hated by her, and as it went on, I just wanted to do anything to keep her happy. I apologized and was yelled at by May. This happened 3 times in a row, so I gave up. I didn't care about May anymore. She destroyed the friendship we had. I felt so unsafe, and I wanted May out of my life, but I could never ask my fiancée to give up her friendship. I just didn't want her in the house. I accused my fiancée of having an emotional affair. She denied that, but also told me May thought she had been in love with Kate, but talked it through with the psychologist, and she just loves her like a sister. This struck me as weird, and a lot of my friends are calling it manipulative. But last week, we hit a point. Kate had gone off and spent the night where May has been staying and told me she was staying at 10:30 p.m. She gave May $1,000 recently to fix their car. I finally talked to some friends about everything, and they made me feel validated in my fear and suspicions and just didn't make me feel crazy anymore. I had been conflicted with how I felt, and I knew I was wrong to be angry, and I was sorry for my actions. When I tried to make up for them, but when I asked for the same, I got yelled at. It felt like I was being told May can act however she wants and Kate will defend her, but if I step a toe out of line, I will be told off. I felt like a third wheel in my own engagement. Please let me know if you think I'm the a-hole or not, and there is an edit.
Dang, man.
No.
I think that can happen sometimes where it's like a friend group or a couple of friends or something like that are strong, I guess you could say, where they're like super strong, like no one else can tear them apart or anything like that. But then it becomes where like if one person starts dating someone, then that other person is kind of also dating them because they both talk to each other about all of, you know, their arguments or all of their decisions or anything like that. Like everything kind of just becomes against that partner. And it's like not fair. I think that might be what's happening here.
Super not fair. I feel like they like each other.
Yeah.
I feel like it's reciprocated. And then I feel like the solution is like, all right, well, let's just gang up on my fiance and make him leave.
He's just a boy. It's okay. We can gang up on him. He's just a silly boy.
Yeah, he's just a silly boy with PTSD.
Right.
I just found out that Kate has been lying to me for a few weeks about a mutual friend of ours, one of my best friends. Kate told me this friend thought I had changed and was no longer the person I was and didn't want me in their life. Due to this, I didn't reach out to them after the break until this morning. I asked how I had changed and why they didn't want me as a friend. She then denied not wanting me as a friend and told me she still loves me and wants me in her life. We've begun making plans to catch up and talk this weekend. This has made me realize that I well and truly have been manipulated and lied to, and that I'm not going crazy and losing everyone and everything. I don't know how long this has been happening, whether it's the full 5 years or just since May has been this entwined with our relationship. And there's an update. Get her out of there. I stayed at my parents' house for a week. After returning, I didn't know if Kate would be there or not. She wasn't. She took the cat, a few items of clothing, and all our sheets and pillows. I reached out asking if she wanted to talk about things and if she was working that Wednesday because we could sit down and discuss who gets what and her moving out. She had threatened to take all the furniture during the breakup, so I wanted to sit down and actually divide the things we'd bought together. When did y'all break up? I guess she left and started spending all her time with May, and they broke up.
Okay.
She said she didn't want to meet and asked for someone else to collect her stuff when I'm not there. Because of her threatening to take the bed and everything else, I said I didn't want her in the house without me and would change the locks. She eventually said she wanted to do it via text, but I told her it should be in person. There are a lot of things in random places which actually needed to be sorted through. She refused. A few days later, I found out from my brother she had messaged my parents telling them I had turned off all her fish tanks and wasn't letting her in to do anything to them. Liar. I was more than happy for her to come over while I was there. I just didn't trust her after finding out about her lies about my friends hating me. My parents called, and the four of us spoke. My brother confirmed the tanks were all on and were clean. My parents told me she had hired a moving crew for Tuesday to get all her stuff. My parents own the house we live in. I put a lock on the bedroom door and changed all the locks in the house. I told her Tuesday didn't work for me, but Wednesday would work. She refused and said she was coming, so I sent the list of things she wasn't to take. She insisted on taking the entire bedroom set. I told my manager about what was happening, and she was so understanding and actually helped a lot. On Tuesday, they came just before I left for work. I called my brother, and he started coming towards the house. I had moved all Kate and May's belongings outside that I could find and move. My brother arrived after I left and told me they were inside the house. Or I told my manager, who agreed to let me leave early 5 hours in. My brother planted himself on the sofa, kept an eye on the bedroom, and kept me updated. By the way, you can stay updated by listening to full episodes of stories like this one on your favorite podcast platform. Just search OK Storytime wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can listen to the whole archive whenever you want.
Whenever you want.
Whenever you need.
Whenever you need.
And it should be all the time.
All the time.
Why are you letting them in?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not her house.
Right.
The locks are changed.
Right.
You go, oh, that's crazy. Well, I told you could do this Wednesday, seeing as that's when I'm available to make sure you don't steal all of my belongings.
Yeah.
So, you won't be coming in today. Sorry for any fees you incur, but you're more than welcome to come in tomorrow. When I arrived, they had gutted most of the house of all of their stuff, but also a few of my items. She took one of my consoles and the cables to my other so I couldn't use it.
What? Brother, that's what you were supposed to look out for. A whole gaming console?
Broski, what were you even there for?
Dude, come on.
They didn't get in the bedroom or get the couch at least. I later found out that they stole my cookbooks, the rice and flour, and a few other weird things. However, not long after, I decided to try and put myself back out there and just try to have some fun casual dates until I'm ready for something long term. I quickly realized it wasn't for me anymore and I wanted something serious. But I met someone and we immediately clicked. We were sending these huge paragraphs, info dumping to each other, and we shared a lot of the same interests and passions.
Aww.
We've gone out a few times now and I really like them and I really hope this works out well. Taking things slowly though. And that is the end of that story.
Well, there you go. That's great.
Kind of a good way to go about that. Honestly, it sucks that she took stuff that wasn't hers and tried to do weird stuff, but it's just you know what?
Mm-hmm.
You're done with her.
Yeah.
She's out of your life.
Yeah.
Good riddance. Her and May can have their little fairy tale.
Yep.
You know, whatever you want to call it. Sounds like a nightmare to me.
Right.
But yeah. Let like be with like.
Yep.
And they both suck, so whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You're finding someone even better right now, so that's great.
Exactly.
Good for you.
Be careful though. Take it slow.
I caught my boyfriend cheating, so I befriended his affair partner.
Devious little move right there.
I, 39 male, and my ex, let's call him Dan, 38 male, met at a mutual friend's party in 2014. We were together for almost 7 years. When we first met, I fell hard for him. He was handsome with a great smile, and we hit it off immediately. What attracted me most was his confidence, something I lacked back then. I was very overweight, almost 145 kilograms, which is 300 pounds, and never saw myself as attractive, so I was genuinely surprised when he expressed interest in me. By the way, this comes from No Upstairs 2736 on the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. We started dating, and within 2 months, we were living together. Even though we hadn't known each other long, things seemed great. I was happy and did my best for both of us. My work demanded extensive travel within the country, sometimes keeping me away for 10 to 14 days, which I knew was hard on our relationship. After one especially long work trip, I came home to find our apartment full of flowers and orchids. Aw. I love plants and was initially thrilled. I thanked him, and he beamed with pride at pulling off the surprise. This continued for a while, and I thought nothing of it, other than that he was showing me that he cared about me. Oh boy, was I wrong.
Oh, brother.
Oh boy. After about 8 months, I started receiving messages from random guys I didn't know. They usually said I should stay away from Dan because they were surprised he was in a relationship, having met him for dates recently. When I confronted Dan, he claimed it was a jealous ex. I accepted this explanation and blocked the person. Then it happened again with another guy, and again after that. The final message took me completely by surprise and confirmed Dan had been lying. This person described our apartment in detail, even the interior and bedroom linens. The message also said, I don't understand why you accepted that Dan keeps getting flowers from his ex. So those flowers aren't even from Dan for OP. They're from Dan's ex.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. It turned out his ex had opened a flower shop and was giving Dan flowers after he visited during my work trips. The flowers I thought were romantic gestures for me were actually from his ex to him. I was crushed. When I confronted Dan, he broke down crying with a sob story about how lonely he was, how hard it was being alone so much, and how I was to blame. I took this to heart and promised to change my work situation. No, we're falling for the manipulation. He claimed nothing physical had happened with this guy, just coffee and a tour of our place. Sure. I actually believed him and shouldered the blame for leaving him alone. When we moved in together, I'd left the place I'd lived for 10 years about 2 hours from our new location. I tried visiting my friends sometimes alone or with Dan. He was always weird around them, saying nothing, just staring at his phone and refusing to participate. This resulted in us not being invited to certain events, or rather, I was invited, but not him. When I tried talking with Dan about his strange behavior about my friends, he started crying again, telling me how hard it was since he didn't have any friends, and seeing how close we were hurt him.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
That's stupid.
It's not the right. I mean, you can feel that way, but that's such like the dumbest, most manipulative way to try to explain it.
I told him I wasn't cutting contact with my friends, but if he didn't want to go, I could go alone. He agreed, and things seemed to work out. A couple of months later, I'd managed to change my work situation so I didn't have to travel. I was home most days. Dan seemed happier, and I felt good too. But something was off. I'd basically stopped hearing from my friends, and when I messaged them, I only got short replies. When I tried to plan visits, I was suddenly told not to come with various excuses. Obviously, I was sad and confused. I replied that if something had happened and they needed help, or if I had done something wrong, please tell me so we could discuss it. After that, I nearly never heard from them again, despite my attempts to reach out. Oh my gosh, that sucks. What did Dan do?
Yeah, what has Dan done?
One day, Dan suddenly asked about my friends, acting like it was weird that I hadn't seen them in a while. Since he knew what was going on, I told him I hadn't heard from them and didn't understand why. Then he started crying again. He told me he'd been in contact with them and they'd said that they didn't like him or the person that I had become after meeting him. He was so upset that he deleted the conversation so I wouldn't see how horrible they'd been to him. Oh my gosh.
What?
I should mention here that I never looked at his phone or computer. That wasn't my business. I tried messaging my friends again but got no reply at all. Eventually, I managed to put things behind me and move forward. Years later, why are we here so long?
Years.
Oh,
Years?
this is terrible. Years later, I bumped into one of my old friends while out walking. She asked about Dan and I told her it was over. Oh. She gave a relieved sigh and revealed the truth. Dan had contacted them, claiming that I didn't want to hurt them, so I hadn't told them myself that I wanted to cut them out of my life. He said I was starting fresh with him and wanted to sever all previous relationships.
Wow.
Bro.
What an absolute loser.
Yeah.
But also, how are your friends not like, I'm going to confirm that though?
Yeah, right?
Because that's an insane thing to get and none of us like you. It's an insane thing for us to get from you. So we're just going to really quickly make sure that that's the truth.
Right, especially too since OP had been reaching out to them and trying to go to plans and they were the ones saying like, no, don't come. Like, what? That's very weird. I was shocked. We managed to mend parts of our friendship, but it was never quite the same. Fast forward a few years into the relationship. After getting a new job and making new friends, things seemed normal again. I got the opportunity to go to Scotland for a course. 3 months total with 6 weeks in Scotland, 2 weeks in Norway, and then 2 more weeks back in Scotland. I discussed this extensively with Dan before deciding. He said it was okay, that we were in a good place, and this was an amazing opportunity. So I accepted and completed the course. Sometime after the course finished, a Scottish man contacted me. I didn't think much about it, assuming it was course related. He asked about hotels in Oslo because he was visiting. I asked who he was since I didn't remember him from the course. His next message shocked me. He got angry, asking why I didn't remember him and saying he felt like he meant nothing to me. He'd spent money coming to Norway because I apparently promised to date him. I was completely confused. While I stared at the phone screen trying to figure out who this guy was, he sent a picture with the caption, "Remember me now?" And it was a very intimate picture of him and Dan in a hotel somewhere.
Oh, does this guy think that OP is Dan?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so Dan had borrowed my phone and forgotten to log out of his messenger. I just put the phone down and started thinking back on everything that had happened. I began realizing how manipulative Dan had been, gaslighting me into changing everything in my life and convincing me everything was my fault. I got angry. I got hurt and started planning. Ooh, we're planning something.
The plot thickens.
I replied to the Scottish guy, explaining what had happened. He got angry too. I gave him my email, deleted the messages, logged Dan out, and pretended like nothing had happened. A couple of days later, I flew to Edinburgh and met this guy Dan had deceived. We sat in a Costa coffee scheming about how we could get some revenge. I love where this is going. I stayed in Scotland one night alone in a hotel, having told Dan I was visiting a friend and would be home the next day. Scotland is about a 2-hour flight from Norway, so Dan never suspected I wasn't in the country that night. When I came home, I acted like nothing had happened. On Wednesday, I suggested we go to Oslo for the weekend, have a little party, and spend the weekend in a hotel. Dan was excited and agreed. On Friday, we took the bus, chatted during the 90-minute ride, and checked into the hotel. Suddenly, my phone chimed. The plan had started. Dan and I went out for dinner, hit a club, and actually had a good time. What Dan didn't know was that I had booked 2 rooms. The Scottish guy had just checked in and messaged that he was ready. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. OP is wording this so well.
Yes. Yes.
I said that I was tired and wanted to go back to the hotel. Dan reluctantly came with me. Very early in the morning, I snuck out and met my Scottish accomplice before Dan woke up. I let him into our room and he carefully slipped into bed with Dan while I hid in the bathroom. I called Dan's phone and he started stirring. After reaching for his phone and seeing that I was calling, he turned around and saw my Scottish friend lying next to him with the biggest grin saying, "Good morning, sweetheart." Dan screamed, threw himself off the bed and raced for the door into the hallway, stark nude.
Whoa.
My Scottish friend and I were laughing so hard. When Dan finally understood what was happening, he came back embarrassed, started crying, and told us how mean we were, claiming that he never cheated and nothing had happened. In front of your affair partner?
What an idiot.
There's no way you can get away with that. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Hey, dumbass, the guy's in the bed.
Literally.
We know
He hears
it's
you.
over. You cannot. The deception is gone.
Literally. He hears you saying that you never cheated when he's the one you cheated with. What? My Scottish friend pulled out his phone and showed the pictures and videos from their nights together. Dan got really angry, packed his things, and left. My new friend and I stayed in Oslo, having a great time and getting to know each other. He's a really stand-up guy, and we're still friends today. Nothing romantic ever happened between us, but we're dynamite as friends. And you would be dynamite as listeners to the OK Storytime podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever you choose. You're going to hear full episodes with more stories just like this one. But there is a little bit more to the story, but I mean, it seems like the plan worked. The scheme has scammed.
You did it, and you scared him. And you did it. But, the sad thing is that he's definitely not going to take any personal responsibility or accountability for any of that. You know, he denied it until the very end.
Yeah.
And, you probably knew that would happen, but you were just like, I just want to pull a little funny goof on him.
Exactly.
Just want to pull a funny little goof, a little goofy gaff on him.
But anyway, to finish this up, when I returned home, Dan was waiting. He came clean, and it turned out he'd actually dated 5 more guys and cheated with even more since we became a couple. We broke up, I moved away, and I'm now very happy in a good, honest, and loving relationship. I should add that his only reason for contacting Scottish men on different apps was because he wanted to find a Scottish guy since I got to go to Scotland. He wanted the same experience.
What a loser.
What? That's crazy.
He had FOMO.
Literally. I'm still being called an a-hole for doing this. His friends continue to blame me for the breakdown he had afterwards and after I moved out. The messages I still receive say I should have never left him and need to understand that some people are just more attractive and I should have let him do what he wanted. I don't think I'm the a-hole, even though I'm still being told that I am. I just laugh at them now. Yeah, laugh away.
You just take a little ha-ha, hee-hee, hoo-hoo-hoo at that.
But yeah, that was a solid story. I'm glad that OP is not taking it too personally, is not like in the dumps about it. But yeah.
Yep.